That would be my guess.
When you were talking about the HIIT workouts,
Yeah.
I like to do them, but I was just wondering what your idea was for like the ratio of rest to work. Like
Yeah.
I've heard 2 to 1, 1 to 2, like.
Yeah, it depends. Under my philosophy and under my training system, it depends on whether I'm trying to push more of the strength end of the continuum or more of the metabolic conditioning end of the continuum, if that makes sense. So if I'm more concerned at this period in time or with this particular client trying to get that client's strength up, I'm going to extend the rest period in between sets. And that's to say, would be the difference between maybe 30 seconds or 20 seconds in someone I'm trying to get more of a metabolic hit to maybe a minute, minute and a half in someone I'm working more of the strength stuff. And that, again, that's a thumb rule too, but that's in general. So in general, as you move towards trying to concentrate on strength, you're going to want to increase the rest period. If you want to work more metabolic conditioning, you decrease the rest period.
Hi. I just wanted to thank you for your presentations in the past.
Sure,
I have the best blood pressure of my adult life because of it over the past
Good.
2 years.
Good.
One thing, you talked about explosive movements.
Sure.
And I know that one of the cardinal rules that we've kind of heard is not to jerk during our... So how can I be explosive without jerking the weight?
Yeah, well, you'll see that in just a second whenever we bring it. So that's another advantage of the arc fit equipment is I can explode into it and I'm not jerking.
Okay.
So that's one thing. Now, if you're talking more traditional barbell lifts, so there's a play here between the risk to benefit ratio. If I'm training an athlete, okay, and this is totally different. If I'm training an athlete, that athlete is not going to be able to perform anyway if he can't jerk the weight, especially a football player, right? So he's going to have to, already he's pre-selected for that motion. If I'm training a normal client that just wants to be healthy, we're not going to, Olympic lift derivatives aren't going to be in the mix. They don't need to be. I can find many other exercises other than an Olympic lift derivative for someone who wants to be healthy. Why even go there? This is kind of the headbutt I have with a CrossFit crowd, right? I mean, why do some of those exercises, especially with a client under fatigue? Why do that? I mean, you're just asking for trouble. I mean, unless that person is going to compete in the CrossFit Games or something, and even then, I would train them different to where they were not beating themselves up in training so that they can get to the games. And I do train some guys who are trained with us at Efficient Exercise to get better at CrossFit. And I can guarantee you I'm not having them do crazy ass, 50 snatches. I mean, it's ludicrous. But to answer your question, you have to kind of make that determination. Am I training for health? Am I training for performance? If I'm training for performance, I'm going to have to give a little bit more leeway on that side, on the safety side. Just a little, not a lot, but a little. But if you're training for health, you don't have to. I can explode into a weight and not jerk, if that makes sense. Okay.
Hi, thank you for coming. I really
Sure.
enjoyed the presentation. So you distinguish between health and fitness,
Yeah.
and I remember you gave an example. Health, 1 hour, fitness, 20 hours.
Yeah.
So the average folks, I guess, are between 8 and 5 and 10, I guess. So what's that? Is that health or fitness?
So that's a gray area, right? Let me go back to that, if we can get back to that real quick. Turn it off, that's all right. So that's a gray area, right? If you just want to focus on health, then I can get you there in an hour, roughly a week. Then we start grading out. And actually, between health and performance, it's probably an exponential increase, right? It's not shown good on that graph, but it's probably an exponential increase to where you get to just on that verge of overtraining and unhealthiness, which is an N equals 1 determination, because what might be my off day might be your full bore day. You know what I mean? So this is kind of an N equals 1 determination. I just throw those hour numbers out there just to give you an indication. That's going to change for everybody, other than the health. everybody can be trained efficiently for health purposes in roughly an hour a week. If not, you're doing it wrong. But then we move from that into the performance side of it, and that's where it starts to get murky. So for instance, my personal training, I'm probably, 7 hours a week, maybe somewhere in there, roughly, just to give you an indication. But I'm not training for anything specifically. I just like a little bit more performance under the hood. Now, if I were to train for a specific event, it would have to go up. Whether that event is a bodybuilding contest or whether that event is a sporting, sport specific, I would have to spend lots of time training skill too for a certain sport. I don't know if I answered your question sufficiently or not.
A great presentation. I've lost 25 pounds doing paleo diet over the last 3-4 months. I just started doing jiu-jitsu a month ago. I'm 44. Gathered over your presentation, the one before, cardio is not good. What should I be doing?
So it's not that cardio is not good. Sport-specific cardio is a necessity. So there's a big difference between cardio for health, which is, it's not going to happen. Skylar went over that in his presentation. It's not. If you want to be healthy, cardio is the wrong way to do it. Endurance training for your specific sport is a totally different manner, or a totally different subject. So I guess in saying, are you going to be metabolically trained for your sport by lifting weights? No, you're not. You're going to have to do some sport-specific training on top of it. That's about the easiest way to say that.
So is it safe to assume you're not a big fan of P90X?
Yeah, it's safe to assume.
My question was, is it safe to assume you're not a huge fan of P90X?
Yeah, not
or
really.
Insanity?
It's every 6 months there's going to be a new something come out, right? I mean, P90X has a lot of marketing behind it, obviously. For people who are otherwise healthy, it's probably not bad. But what happens is people who are not healthy try to do that kind of stuff in hopes of getting healthy, and they get hurt, get burnt out, lose interest, all of that. So I guess it kind of depends on who you are and where you're trying to go. So to say whether it's good or bad, is it better than, if you're a fairly healthy person, is it better to do P90X or sit on the couch? I would say do P90X, Is it the best thing you could do? I don't think so. It's hardly.
Cool, yeah. 2 quick questions. One, do you guys have DEXA scans in your studios? And the second is just fast twitch versus slow twitch. Do you think that is that's more genetics, as in like body type, or is it more early conditioning if you were like a competitive athlete?
Yeah, I'll answer the second question first.